Captain's Log number 784. Today, I was just looking at the stars because there's not much else to do out here in space. And as I was getting bored, I decided I was going to light a fire, but I didn't have any fire, so now I'm just looking at the stars.
Lost in space, an alien race, trapped in orbit with no escape, watching films from Earth's display, passing time from day to day. Stuck in orbit, what can I do? A movie marathon will have to do. From drama to horror and comedy too, an alien cinema will break through.
So today, while I was bored and sitting around not doing much, I was like, hey, what's new? What's the new movie out there? What's all the buzz? Well, there is another movie out that came out just recently called Asteroid City. And I was like, hey, that looks like a good movie. I see it's from Wes Anderson, and I really like Wes Anderson. And so I was like, yo, let's check out what Wes Anderson has got for us today. You have to see Asteroid City. I think it's probably one of the most Wes Anderson-y movies out there. When you look at like the aesthetic of a Wes Anderson film, this has got it all. And if you really like that kind of movie, you're going to love Asteroid City. Now, you've heard me poo-poo on some of the bigger movies that's come out this year, like The Flash, like The Little Mermaid, and stuff like that. And I don't want you to think like, oh, well, he just likes these super artsy types of movies. Well, like, you know, I do kind of like them, but not exclusively, okay? It's just, those other movies just happen to really suck. So, you know, there's not a lot to compare. But let's talk about Asteroid City. This is not a kind of sit down and turn your brain off kind of movie, okay? You have to really pay attention because this movie is really chock full of symbolism and metaphors and all that kind of stuff, and it really, like, it's got layers and layers and layers of depth, and it's really an interesting movie to be coming out right now. Now, there is a quarantine scene in this movie, and recently there's been a couple movies out there that have these types of quarantine type of pandemic settings and stuff like that, and I really find those movies to be really cringy and kind of dated. That kind of situation is not happening anymore. We've moved on, yet we still have movies coming out that kind of show these types of situations, and so it really feels cringy and dated, even though it probably would have been relevant like a year or two ago. But this movie doesn't feel like that at all. It's really fresh. Why this movie seems more relatable is because of the anti-authoritarian type of theme that's going on in this movie. That's one of the many subtexts that's going on in this movie, kind of anti-authoritarian, anti-lockdown type of theme. That's just part of it. That's a small bit of it, but that's a part that really, I feel like, is more obvious to the movie-going audience, and something that I feel like more people can relate to. But there's lots of other deeper meanings. You'll see other types of subtext that are a little bit more difficult to pinpoint that are also very interesting. This movie takes place in the 1950s, and a lot of the adults in the 1950s, they're post-war veterans, and a lot of them are dealing with types of post-traumatic stress disorders that are going undiagnosed, because at the time, mental health research was not what it is today. So you have all of these people who have this sort of PTSD that they're just trying to go throughout their lives, and you see the way that it kind of affects the way that they go throughout their lives, and also the effects that it has on their children as well. And, you know, that's another side of this movie, and there's so much more to explore. And it's so interesting and, like, it's engaging. I think it's the word. If I were to describe this movie in one word, it would be engaging. It requires the audience to be 100% engaged with the movie. Also, this movie is just extremely funny all the way through. I found myself just laughing the entire time, because I think it's one of the most funny Wes Anderson movies out there. So if you're just looking for a good time as well, this movie isn't a really good time. Like it's not just all super serious messaging, but it's also an extremely funny and extremely entertaining movie, and has one of I think one of the best casts from a Wes Anderson movie. This is extremely star-studded. Although it is one of the only Wes Anderson movies to not have Bill Murray in it. The reason Bill Murray is not in this movie is a direct result of the COVID pandemic, which seemed to be a big inspiration for this movie in general. Supposedly, Bill Murray caught COVID before he had to shoot all of his scenes, and he wasn't able to recover in time to shoot all of his scenes, so he was just written out of the movie completely. But if you like kind of weird, strange movies, if you like Wes Anderson movies, if you like, funny, quick, witty dialogue in your movies, stuff like that, I think this movie is definitely for you. I'm not going to say it's for everybody, but I will say it's definitely the best movie to come out this year. And probably one of the best movies I've seen in a long time. I really, couldn't stop smiling after I watched this movie. Highly recommend. I would give it a 9 out of 10. Because I don't think there's really a 10 out of 10 kind of movie. But I would give it a 9.5 out of 10. This is probably, as close as it gets. And it's definitely a movie that I feel like has repeat value. Not a lot of movies I've seen lately have repeat value. I watch it once and I'm done. Okay, I got what I got out of it. This movie, I feel like you can watch it over and over and over again, and you can pick up different things each time you watch it. And different parts will pop out more, and you'll be able to kind of understand more and more the more you watch it. And so I definitely am going to re-watch it, because I'm sure I missed a ton of things the first time I watched it. Because there's just so much in this movie. So yeah, definitely highly recommend for me. And I'm going to go watch it again. So, Captain's Log out.